Hey, how you guys? I just realized that I have a call today, and I wow, have to make sure that it doesn't happen. Well, I just I clicked the button. It's like, oh my gosh, somebody's calling at a certain time. Well, we'll see what happens with that. All right, I'm gonna just chat a little bit this morning about daily practices. Okay, daily practices. Um, in the recovery world, we talk about living one day at a time. In most of the spiritual practices that I'm aware of, the idea is to be here now, to be living in the moment, and one day at a time, of course, brings us, much closer to the moment because we kind of break things up into daily packages, right? So today I just want to talk about that a little bit, and this is not maybe for everyone today. If your life is, if you never experience fear, then this would not be for you. Or if you never experience anger or resentment or, isolation or depression, uh, this is probably not for you. But if you've had some of those things in your life, if you felt like you've dropped deep into the self-centered world of separation, then maybe this is for you. All right. So we're going to go a little deep into daily practices, and I there's every faith has daily practices. Every faith, you know, encourages us to prayer and meditation. All the spiritual practices of the world have daily uh, suggestions, but today I'm just going to talk about the suggestions in the 12 steps of AA and ACA, because for the addict and the alcoholic, we're very prone um, to dropping into fear, to being, to getting disconnected, if you will, and we're on discipline, so we need to have a daily practice, and they have these two steps that are really daily, which is 10 and 11. And I'm just going to read, there's 4 paragraphs in the big book today. I'm going to read on 10, and then tomorrow I'll read about 11. But I'm going to read 10 today, and tomorrow I'll read the short. It's really the short form, because there's another book called the 12 and 12 that has a longer form of step 10 and a longer form of step 11. But the short form in the book is amazing. It's so powerful, and the reason I'm reading it is, a friend called me this morning, and she was in really tough shape. That problems with that work and problems with family, and just, in a mess. And the the sometimes if we get a call like that, we want to help somebody with their problems, but I don't do that. I'm not in the problem fixing business. I'm in the spiritual guidance business, if you will, and so my job is to help her and you and any of us. I mean, freedom isn't in fixing the the mechanics of one's life. Freedom is in finding a way to live that's connected to a source of power beyond ourselves, a higher power. And then in the book, it tells us how to do that. It's so clear. It's like, holy shit, how could it be so clear? But it is. So I'm going to read it to you. And if you're in recovery and you're not doing this, I know from experience, because I spent years in recovery not doing this, and I was always going from drama to drama, trauma to trauma, from catastrophe to catastrophe, even in recovery. So if you want to have a life that's full of love and acceptance, this is the path, okay? Here we go. It says this thought brings us to step 10, and which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. It's beautiful. So, and this is step 10, you guys. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. We've entered the world of the spirit. Nice, beautiful. Um, this is not an overnight matter. It should continue for a lifetime. Continue to watch for. Here's the things we have to watch for on a daily basis. We have to become aware of ourselves to know that these things are there. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Selfishness. It's what about me, right? Selfishness, dishonesty. Dishonesty is it's subtle. It's like it's really subtle sometimes. So we have to watch for it. And we can go deep into, we can spend a whole day just talking about that and resentment and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Now remember, God is the word we use, is your understanding, however you conceive that to be. All right. And if you don't have a real satisfactory conception, then let's talk about that a little. I'm open to that conversation because there is a way to be here and let go of our prejudice, let go of our anger or resentment towards that word or religion in the past, because, or misunderstanding that we've had. We ask God to remove them at once. We discuss them with someone immediately. So that's talking again about selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear. So this is the recipe. When these crop up, we ask God to remove them at once. We discuss them with someone immediately, and we make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance is our code. Imagine. Love and tolerance is our code. Imagine if that's your code for life. Love and tolerance. Pretty neat, eh? We have ceased fighting anything. This next paragraph's about, how the alcohol has been removed. But we can put in there, that lots of whatever your addiction might have been can be removed. Food, comfort eating, overeating, whatever can, if we're following this recipe. We have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time sanity will have returned. We will suddenly be interested in liquor, it says. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. So if we've been, whatever our addiction was, we react sanely and normally, we'll find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards, liquor, drugs, sex, food, gambling, whatever it is, has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. This is in step 10. That is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. This is how we react as long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. That's the deal. It is easy to let up on this spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. This is just the third paragraph in this description. It's very short, It's only 4 paragraphs, but it's so powerful. It's easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are ahead of our trouble if we do. For alcohol or any addiction is a subtle foe. We're not cured of whatever the addiction is. We're not cured of whatever the addiction is. We really have a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. We really have a daily reprieve. I lots of times guys stand up at the front of a meeting and say, I'm a recovered addict or alcoholic, and that's great. But it says here what we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. And this is, a constant state of prayer, right? How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. That's my recommendation all the time to people, to myself, just to continue to be in that higher plane. Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It's the proper use of the will. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him. And again, we call Him because what else do we call it? Him, it, that, isness, God, from him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, we begin to sense the flow of his spirit into us. To some extent, we become God conscious. We begin to develop this vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. So that's me reading step 10 to you guys today. And it's beautiful. It's a daily practice, and it's how we stay clear. It's how we stay clear on a daily basis. Otherwise, we fall back into fear and anger and resentment and guilt and shame. And this is the stuff that daily keeps us, a practice that keeps us free. And tomorrow, I'm going to be traveling, but tomorrow I will read step 11. And it's beautiful. It really is. And yeah, it's just a simple program that works. Whatever your beliefs are, whatever faith you follow, doesn't really matter. Daily practices are a part of the deal. We how do we stay? It's like we're dealing with in two worlds. For me anyway, the alcoholic and the addict, I have an ego that desperately wants to run the show, and thinks it knows best all the time. And I don't beat it up anymore. I just tell you, hey, relax. You're not the boss anymore. And I got a new boss, a new employer. Hey, Jason, a new employer. And in step 3, it says that we had a new employer, being all powerful. He provided our needs as long as we stayed close to him. And that's these maintenance steps, these daily steps that we do. That's how we stay close to him and perform his work well, which is step 12. And we'll talk about that more too. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm going to read. I have another, I still do my little 24-hour day book, so I'm going to read that. And I only brought that up because somebody called, and we went over 10 and 11 on the phone, and it was like, oh, she had a friggin' awakening. It was like, yes, okay, I get it. Yes. Because we stopped doing that, all of a sudden the world and its problems are overwhelming us. And the storm comes and we can't, we capsize. Long and the short of it, we capsize. I would think that it's the 5th. Is it the 5th? Yes, February the 5th. Okay. Hey, you guys. One thing, it says, this is from the 24-hour day book that I've been reading from for quite a while. One thing we learned in the 12 steps in AA is to take a long view of drinking instead of a short view. When we were drinking or using, whatever our addiction was, we thought more about the pleasure or release. We thought more about the pleasure or release that a drink would give us than we did about the consequences which would result from our taking that drink. Liquor looks good from the short view. When we look at the package store window, we see liquor dressed up in its best wrappings with fancy labels and decorations. They look swell, and that's right. But it doesn't show me at 3 a.m, sleeping on the bathroom floor. But I learned that's what's inside these beautiful bottles that's just plain poison to me. So it's funny, in this early chapters, of January and February, the early months of this daily reading, he talks a lot about, the symptoms of the disease. And for the alcoholic, it's what happens when we drink. So I believe, it says in Meditation of the Day, that life is a school in which I must learn spiritual things. I must trust in God, he will teach me. I must listen to God, and he will speak through my mind. I must commune with him in spirit, in spite of all opposition and every obstacle. There will be days when I will hear no voice in my head, and when there will come no intimate heart-to-heart communion. But if I persist, like in step 10, if I persist, make a life habit of schooling myself in spiritual things, yes, God will reveal himself to me in many ways. A life habit of schooling myself in spiritual things. Nice direction. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may regularly go to school in things of the Spirit. I pray that I may grow spiritually by making a practice of these things. Yes. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to meditate. And just want to tell you that I did an interview yesterday. It was great. Have a look at it. That's on YouTube, and I've posted the YouTube video on some of my pages. Cerebella it was very nice, and I've got another one coming up today from my buddy Russell. So um, and I've been really enjoying them. I think I've done like 16 interviews this year so far, and they're fun and informative, and often always spiritually based, I guess, always pointing towards helping us to surrender and let go. Okay, so short meditation today. We'll just drop in. If you'd like to join me, I mean, the whole idea, I call it sitting. Let's not call it meditation. Let's call it sitting. We're going to sit for 3 or 4 minutes. Just practice with me. Just, take 3 or 4 minutes. You're in the car, pull over, and just practice. Just drop in. Just experience this. And it becomes a daily practice. And this is how we get to see ourselves, how we get to know ourselves, how we get to know, where it is that we're living. Hardly anyone really can answer the question, who am I? Can you answer that question? Well, you need to slow down a little bit to discover who you really are. Okay? So let's do it today together. Yes. Close your eyes. And don't close them if you don't want to. That's okay. Come into the breath. Magic breath, brings us right into the space, right into the moment, right into now. It's impossible to focus on the breath and be anywhere else. Focus on the breath. Breath in. And then just let it out. Breath in. There we go. So here we are in this moment, in this body. We recognize that we're in the body. We're not the body. As we sit, feeling our presence, feeling our surroundings, we're going to let go of a few things. We'll let go of yesterday. We'll let go of tomorrow. Let go of all our thinking. Just recognize that we are here in this moment and there's no thought. That we are not our thoughts. So we just say, sometimes I speak to it. I say, just give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I just ask even for permission, if you will, to be here in this moment. If thoughts come up, just come back to the breath. We recognize that we're not our story. We're not what we do for a living. Those are things that we do. We're not really, can't be identified with it being a parent or a son or a daughter. Let go of all of that identity just for a couple of minutes here. much. Come back when you're ready. Wow. Thank you. Just gently come back. Yeah. Thanks so much. You know, one day at a time, practicing our daily disciplines, we grow in our relationship with this higher power. Call it love. Call it what you want. Call it universal intelligence. Call it consciousness. But we grow in our relationship with that, and we find peace. We recognize that there's nothing to worry about. There's no need for fear. And actually, we can't afford fear. Fear is what then creates our future. If we focus on love, focus on being of service in each moment, that's what we get. It's a beautiful recipe. Okay, you guys, love you. Tomorrow, I hope we'll do a little bit of step 10. Yeah, thank you, Jason. Love you, my friend. And thanks for all the work you do. Okay. Love it if you watch some of those YouTube videos, all of you guys, and subscribe to the channel. I'm on a mission to really carry a message to more people. And if you subscribe and watch the videos, then YouTube sends more people, to the page to watch the videos, and it's kind of a working together thing. Thank you. Okay, love you lots.